Welcome to the Irish Pagan School podcast. Your hosts are authors and co-founders of the Irish Pagan School here in County Waterford, Ireland, Laura O'Brien and Jon O'Sullivan. Fáilte.
What is the significance of a Triskelion in Irish paganism? Well, Dagdi Bogus Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome. Jon O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School. And that is kind of a common question that we do receive here. It's not an easy one spoken to, unfortunately, for a number of reasons. But we need to go to what is a Triskelion first. A Triskelion is a series of spirals, either it's just not even a series. It is three spirals. It is three spirals that move away from a central point, or three spirals that intersect with each other in some manner. The most interesting part about these spirals is that they conform to Archimedean mathematics. They're referred to as Archimedean spirals. So to answer the question about Archimedean spirals, we need to look at Archimedes, who was a mathematician in 400 BCE, Greek mathematician who postulated a number of different principles that are still acknowledged today. The Archimedean spiral is about 2 points that are moving away from each other at a constant kind of rate, but one of the points is proceeding in a spiraling fashion. The oldest form of Triskelion that has been seen and recorded by archaeologists is in Malta, and the island of Malta's coat of arms still bears a tree kind of limbed imagery which emotes the Triskelion of old. So why am I talking about Malta? Why am I talking about Greece? Well, we have to look at those things to set some context for the importance of Triskelions turning up and where they turn up, because quite famously, there are many Triskelions all over the island of Ireland that date back to the Neolithic period. This is Stone Age period. Famously, the ones that you can see most readily are the ones that are at a place called Brú na Bóinne, which is the Brew on the Boyne, also known as Newgrange, and the very famous passage tomb that exists there. There are two Triskelions that are prominently displayed. One on the outside of the main stone that it sits outside of the Newgrange passage tomb. It is called Curbstone 1. And at the top end of it, if you were looking at Curbstone, if you bring up an image of it, on the left-hand side, there are three spirals that intersect. That is a Triskelion. Now, the other one is even more importantly situated from a lot of people's opinion, and that is in the back of the Newgrange Passage tomb. Those of you who don't know, the Newgrange Passage tomb is linked with solar alignments and the winter solstice. So as the sun comes up on the winter solstice, the dawn of the winter solstice, the first rays of sunlight, if we get sunlight, shine through a window box built into Newgrange and illuminate the entire chamber. Part of where that illuminates is right at the very back end of that chamber, where there are upright stones built around an alcove, showing the significance of that location in that the sunlight literally shines in onto that location. And one of the stones that make up the covering area of that alcove has a Triskelion carved into it. Not just painted on it, not just put on it, literally carved into the very rock of it. It is also in a place that the light touches last. So as the light begins to come in through the space, it shines its way down, it progresses in, it illuminates the back end of the chamber, and that one of the last places that the light touches is this Triskelion. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, Newgrange was built, the passage tomb at Newgrange was built 3200 BCE, before Common Era. We can date that very clearly, and we know the significance of the cultural importance of the site because it was not built in the middle of a domestic area. The brew on the Boyne, that curve in the Boyne River, is one of the most fertile places in Ireland. It is one of the most wealthy places. All of our mythology talks about it. It is linked with the Dagda, with Angus Og, with Bohan, who the Boyne River is named after, the goddess. But archaeologically speaking, we know that where Newgrange itself was situated and built was not in the middle of a domestic area. People lived in the curve on the valley, but they didn't live there. It was intentionally built there for a very specific reason. And some of the rocks aren't even native there, which means they were brought there. And it's believed that Curbstone 1, that one that I mentioned at the top end, was carved in situ, in that the rock was brought there and then it was carved. So all of the imagery, all of the spirals, the lozenges, the shapes that are all placed upon that rockwork was done there. And it wouldn't have been done in a lifetime. It was done over generations. And so the effort of creating such a place like Newgrange really shows that there must have been some cultural significance to it. Ritual significance, cultural significance, or spiritual significance. And this is where we get to linking Triskelion with Irish paganism or Irish spirituality. So those are the facts. Those are the information that we can point at and say, absolutely, we can recognize where this imagery is. We can see that it's all over the island. We can see very prominent examples of it, and we can date that to a very clear historical period of the Neolithic. What it means, though, we can't say for sure. So, the answer, not hard to say. We can't say what it means. There is no definitive, oh yes, this explains this, or this is why it is. And anyone who presents that, this is the true meaning of the Triskelion, is full of shit. Or is very impassionately speaking about their own experiences and their own inspiration around the imagery. And so that is where I think as far as we can really go, because we don't have an existing kind of tradition that survived past colonization of the island by our next door neighbors, Great Britain, or just Britain. Really need to get out of the habit of calling it Great Britain because it is not great. Different talk for a different day. But yeah, the culture was eradicated, shifted, and changed over years. The information that we had, those that does date back, was carried down in oral format and then relayed and transferred by Christian monks into illuminated manuscripts. A lot you will actually see, like the Book of Kells, like the famous illuminated works of Ireland's medieval period, include Triskelions in their imagery, or not just Triskelions. There's also this Celtic tri-knot or the triple knot. It looks like it's like three-pointed knots. That is a form of Triskelion as well. It's also referred to as a Trisqueta or Trisquitia, because it's four arcs that kind of form that, but I've always known it as a Celtic tri-knot. Um, all of that shows up in the art. All of that shows up in fashion. It shows up in archaeological items, even on metalwork. All of these imageries, these triple spiral, these triple knotworks have always been recorded in those ways, which means that there was some significance to them. But what exactly that significance was or is, we've lost cultural context for. We've lost spiritual context for. And so coming to it from our mindset, it is a matter of exploration. It's a matter of trying to figure that out, looking at it in situ, understanding what we can about the culture of it, and then allowing for the art to speak to our own processes and making space for the unique personal gnosis, making space for this is what it means to me, and allowing that to be what it means to me. And to fire, like I have my own personal meaning of Triskelion. I actually wear one on my wrist here, um, emoting the one of Newgrange because it's linked with Dagda. That's my Dagda tattoo. But it means something to me. And so I will talk about my meaning of the Triskelion and how I actually use or allow for that art to inspire my own spiritual processes. But I will never say that this is 100% the definitive exactly what the Triskelion means. So we can't say what it means for sure, but we can point and say it must have been very significant. There was some cultural context around it. There was a feeling or a need to present it. There's a number of different carvings inside the passage tomb of Newgrange. A lot of them are faded and kind of rubbed raw. Some of them like evoke imagery of people, of faces. Some of them are like shapes, like the triangles, the lozenges, and all the rest of it. The stones at the very back, to my recollection, are predominantly bare, apart from this very remarkably positioned Triskelion. And we know from when the archaeology of the excavation of the passage tomb at Newgrange, that part at the very back was where a lot of grave remains were recovered. Cremated remains in jars were stored and grave goods were stored right at the very back where the light would come. So understanding that there was a cyclical process, a solar worship, understanding the cultural influences around the seasonal shifts and shapes means that there was a recognition of it. But did that mean 100% that they believed in the light bringing back life, or like we can't say for sure. All we can do is extrapolate based on our best guesses because we can't go back in time and ask anybody. And even if we could go back in time, they spoke Proto-Irish. We would not be able to understand a single fucking word they were speaking. So All we can do is look at what these things inspire in us and allow for that space within it. And much like Laura's guided journey program, you can find over at the Irish Pagan School, there's a free guided meditation. By engaging in meditation practices, journeying practices, and exploring the imagery, exploring the lore and the information that we have around it, we can get to the point of our own understanding or our own connections to it. So I've talked around it a couple of times, probably because I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious. But for me, what the Triskelion means, it is about the journey of progression of a person. Now, again, this is my unique personal gnosis. This is not a 100% verified exactly what it means, but given that they all come from a central point and move out in this spiraling pathway away as they kind of go on their journeys, for me, it represents the facets of being a person. In that we grow physically, we grow intellectually and emotionally, and also we grow spiritually. And we need to kind of walk that path on a journey. As a child, we have to learn to literally walk. We have to learn to use our bodies. And then over time, we learn to use our minds, we learn to use our brains, we learn to deal emotionally and learn to use our emotions in balance with the rest. The third arm of that for me represents the journey of spiritual growth. And they don't always go at the exact same point. You may work down one pathway more than you work down another pathway, but all of it is about accepting the fact that being a human being is part of a journey. It is part of a growing series of moving away from the moment that you are in into new forms along these different aspects of self that makes up who you are as a person. It's what it means to me. Again, I feel uncomfortable saying it, but I do get asked, and will be a question that would be asked. People, other people purport it to mean, the three realms of existence from Wicca, like, the earth, sea, and sky, making up the three spheres of reality. Other people take it as a representation of triple goddess. Uh, Everyone has their own opinion on it. I think what needs to be done is that people, in my opinion, take the time, look at the information that's available, go back to the root sources where you can, as ever, but then be open to the fact that some Neolithic individuals, and not just one, spent their lifetime stone on stone, grinding, carving, and shaping a huge rock. Like Curbstone 1 is massive. It is absolutely amazing and impressive to see. And someone spent their lifetime sitting by that, chipping away, moving away, polishing away in order to make these symbols visible to us thousands of years later. That is amazing. As an expression of, even if it is just an expression of art and creativity, if there is no other spiritual meaning behind it or any other deeper knowledge behind it, even that is so fucking inspiring. Nearly 5,000 years later, you can still go, you can look at that stone, you can see the work that these people did, our ancient ancestors, to make these images. And so allowing for it to inspire you, allowing for it to open your perspectives, allowing for it to just be a journey in consideration. Does there need to be hard answers? Does there need to be definitives? It means this and nothing else. Or maybe all of it is there to inspire, to open our minds, to allow us to follow the journey of the spiral and see where it takes us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So this is my thoughts on it. Thank you very much for the question that was sent in to us that allowed me to take the time on this. I did write a blog about it as well over at the Irish Pagan School, irishpagan.school/Triskelion. I might throw the link in that as well. If you would like to know more, watch another video, pick up another audio of the podcast, or pop on over to irishpagan.school/free for a list of free resources available from us at the school about Irish spirituality, culture, heritage, history. We're educators. That's exactly what we do here. So until next time, look after yourself, take care, and slán. Goodbye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a positive review in your podcast listener. Then head over to irishpaganschool.com and enroll in one of our free or paid courses. Slán go fóill. and we will see you next time.